First of all, Eva, thanks for making me cry. Dear class of 2019, professors, faculty members, families and friends, I'm honored to introduce our 2019 commencement speaker, Ms. Lee-Han Shan. I had a chance to meet her yesterday to talk about her life and achievements. Lee-Han came to United States all the way from Singapore to study at Stanford University. A few years later, thanks to Team Kohi and our great ski business program, Lee-Han decided to apply to SNC and was accepted that very same week. Good job, admissions. During her studies at SNC, she was also an intern at Sierra Angels, and today she's serving a proud member. After graduating from SNC, she founded a company called Dyna-Optics, the first company in the world to develop, manufacture, and sell groundbreaking optical lenses. Currently, she manages the camera and sensor programs at a self-driving vehicle company, Jogs, in Silicon Valley. In her student days, Lee-Han was a nationally ranked tennis player. As a professional athlete, she learned about tenacity and pushing even when it gets difficult. This was a huge factor in her success later in her professional life. Lee-Han is a prime example of the entrepreneurial spirit that SNC produces, and also an example what we can all achieve with the tools we are given here. As most Tahoe people do, Lee-Han has a deep passion for rock climbing, snowboarding, teleskiing, and hiking with the family dog. But now, I will let her to tell more about her inspirational story. Please, everyone, welcome on the stage, Ms. Lee-Han Shan.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. President Walker, Provost Beets, distinguished members of the Board of Trustees, dedicated faculty, staff, long-suffering family, friends. I bid you all a warm welcome on this very special day. Folks over there, hi, sorry, it's all blocked. Please join me in congratulating once again SNC Tahoe's 2019 graduating class. Woo! All right. You know, when Daniel Kelly invited me to make this year's commencement speech, of course I was incredibly honored. And I must confess, a little annoyed because I was going to be joining the ranks of highly accomplished individuals, all stressing out for months about what to say. So I did what we all do when we have an important task that we don't have a good idea about how to go about. I went to YouTube. So one of the most important speeches, viewed over 15 million times now, was by Admiral William McRaven. Do you know what his number one piece of advice was? What was it? That's right, you got it. Make your bed every morning. I figured out why that one's so popular. Desperate parents share it year after year when their children move home after graduation. You know, in all honesty, I don't think I can offer you any profound wisdom that Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Zadie Smith, or countless other illustrious individuals haven't already shared. I do have some personal reflections that might be of use to you. But before that, in true college spirit, here's my very useful one-paragraph Cliff Notes version of all the other speeches summarized for you. Okay, you ready? All right, here we go. Work hard, embrace failure, be kind, be humble, have courage, serve your community, follow your heart, and let your true self shine. Dream big, but don't just dream, do. Make a difference, because the difference that you make matters. Stay hungry, stay foolish, and of course, make your bed. Thank you very much. I'm joking, I'm not actually done. This would have been the shortest commencement speech ever. And you would have been so glad because it's so darn cold today. I know. You know, there is wisdom in these words, but you know what I didn't find was anyone speaking about the value of graduating from a liberal arts college located in one of the most beautiful places on earth. Well, actually, I lied. Ellen DeGeneres, she came the closest when she said, follow your own path. Except unless you're in the woods and you're lost, in which case, if you see a path, you should probably follow that path. So graduates, I invite you to do the following exercise with me. And everyone else, please join in too. All right, close your eyes. Take a deep breath. I want you to think back to the very first time you saw Lake Tahoe. Do you remember how that felt? Yeah. If you were like me, you were stunned at the immense expanse of just clear blue water, your heart filled with awe. I can remember that moment. I was so present and so peaceful and so alive. Now, if you've got that memory, hold it in your body just for a moment, because that's what I want to talk about. You see, I graduated from SNC 10 years ago, and still today, because of having had this daily reinforcing experience of heaven on earth, I'm able to readily and easily access joy. It's a touchstone for me, an intimate connection that reminds me what it's like to feel alive and awake. I urge you to remember what joy feels like, to carry it with you everywhere you go. Why? Because, you know, outside of this beautiful campus, many parts of life are gonna be pretty rough. So rough, you might even forget what joy feels like. You won't have these amazing faculty members, caring staff members, all rooting for you, dedicated to your growth and success. You'll likely have to earn a living, pay the bills, possibly commute for hours day after day in rush hour traffic. And all of a sudden, your humdrum, routine, and senseless life begins to look like one of those old Dilbert cartoons. I don't know if you guys are old enough to know Dilbert, but the older ones of us will. And this is just the easy part of the hard stuff, right? We haven't even talked about the really hard stuff, like suffering associated with failed relationships, illness, aging, and death. So I encourage you to let joy be an anchor, not just in the hard times, but especially in the hard times. I hope you will close your eyes and think of Tahoe and remind yourself what it feels like to be alive. It might offer you a different guidepost, you know, instead of some default societal expectation or social media expectation. For me, it has served as an extremely reliable internal GPS. As I've made some of the most important decisions in my life, I remind myself, this is what it feels like to be alive. You know, this is joy. In my experience, though, joy is necessary, but not sufficient for a life well lived. It is just as important, it is just as essential to be aware of the important things right in front of us that actually bring us joy. To illustrate this, let me borrow a story from David Foster Wallace's commencement speech, which he actually borrowed from an old Buddhist monk. So it goes like this. Two fish are swimming along, and they pass by an older fish swimming in the opposite direction. And the older fish says, "Good morning, boys. How's the water?" The young fish smile pleasantly, and they swim on. And then one fish stops. He looks a little confused, and he turns to the other, and he asks, "What the hell is water?" So I take this story to mean that the most important realities of life are the hardest to see and the easiest to miss. You know, sometimes we run so fast on autopilot, we don't even know where we're going or why we're running. Have you ever had this experience? Yeah? I see some faces nodding, some audience members nodding. It's kind of an unconsciousness that can no longer feel joy. because one's life becomes the pursuit of temporary refuges like power and money and status. It's a kind of unconsciousness that the writer Annie Dillard called an itty-bitty life, a kind of respectable adult life, but one that is ultimately dead or at best asleep. So I've had to snap myself out of this stupor quite a few times. When I was about your age, I spent some time volunteering in South Africa, and I saw firsthand what it was like to be crushingly poor in a horrifically racist country. And I told myself as I left that little village that I would never forget the pain and suffering that exists in the world, especially right around me. I did actually forget quite quickly. I graduated, I got on the hamster wheel, and I started running for years. Until one day in London, after working a series of 100-hour weeks, I found out I hadn't gotten a promotion I thought I so deserved, and I was really crushed. But in hindsight, I'm really grateful I didn't get that promotion, because it is what inspired me to move to Tahoe, and I filled my soul with nature. I told myself I would never give all of my waking hours to a company or to a job ever again. But of course, eventually, I did. And this time, it was to my own company. Until one day, after years of months-long overseas business trips, I came home, and our little puppy dog, Wheezy, instead of welcoming me with her usual waggy tail, she barked at me like I was a thief breaking into my own home. I'm really grateful for Wheezy. I don't regret all the jobs that I had or the hours I put in. They got me here, so I think I'm doing okay. And in hindsight, it would have been great if it didn't take me so darn long to realize that joy comes from paying full attention to the things right in front of you. What is right in front of me is tending to meaningful relationships with my family, my friends, my neighbors. What is right in front of me is helping my mom fix her phone so she feels loved. All right? What is right in front of me is engaging in the challenges of our time, trying to be one small voice for what I believe makes the world a better place. It is about seeing people in the world who might not otherwise be seen. So some of you know now that I have a prior undergraduate degree, and without any doubt, I assure you, I didn't get this profound teaching there. I learned it here, in the company of my amazing mentors who believed in me and helped me grow. So thank you.
Good.
You see the real value of an SNC Tahoe liberal arts education is not just this next job or this next step in your career. Important as these things are, the real value is that we have been trained to see more clearly, to question the normal way of doing things, and to think critically and to approach life in an entrepreneurial, sustainable, and really thoughtful way. So I still run, or to go back to the little fish, I still swim. I swim hard, I swim fast, but I swim differently because now I know this is water. I have great faith that if you use this SNC degree you're about to receive to its full advantage and as intended, the gift of this education will help you wake to what is most important in your life. It will help you make more nuanced, more meaningful, and arguably better choices in every moment in this one precious life that you have. So I wish you luck and good fortune, class of 2019, as you make your ways in the world. I urge you to always be connected to joy and realize in every moment that you can connect to the most important things right in front of you. This is joy. This is water. I urge you not to just make hay while the sun shines, as the saying goes. I urge you to also make friends, make art, and make love. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lehan, and welcome home.